Hey, good afternoon. Thought I'd get on pretty much at the top of the hour here. It's almost 1 o'clock. That's Central Time in Northeast Texas. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm doing okay. It is kind of hot outside, but we don't really talk about that. We're just excited that the sun comes up and eventually it will cool off. We know that. And then it'll start raining and we're like, is it ever going to quit raining? So you know how it is. Sometimes you can't be pleased. So hopefully some people can join me. If not, I'm going to just talk to myself, pretend like I have a big audience. I wanted to show you the cards that we made in class. My class was yesterday. I do have extra kits. One. I'm going to hang on to one for a little while. So if you want one, if you'll place a $25 order, I will send you a kit. We'll work out stamping. I cannot send stamped images, so you'll either have to substitute, come use mine, whatever. But I'm going to hang on to them. So the first card I wanted to show you uses the Happiness Abounds bundle and some of the paper. Hues of Happiness is what it's called. I used the stamp set on the inside. The happy birthday that this one offered, because I did want to make it a birthday card, was linear, and I could have had everyone stamp the happy and clean the stamp and then stamp the birthday and line them up and down on top of each other like that. But instead I pulled the happy birthday that was already stacked the way I wanted it from the pansy patch. We've used this one a whole lot, but it had the happy and the birthday lined up the way I wanted it. So that's a neat way to use your stamps. You don't always have to stick with what you've got. I love the font on this, and I wish that I could have used it, and I could have if I had used a different shaped tag, but or had stamped that differently. Some people will cut their stamps apart. I can't do that. Sorry, just can't do that. So Happiness Abounds. The dies are what we used out of the Blossoming Happiness dies. I have already gone ahead and die cut the front of my card. You can probably see that the pool party is peeking through the openings in this die cut. That's how it's designed. And it's also designed that some of it cuts out and some of it remains. So if you wanted to take the time to kind of push some of those up, kind of make them stand up just a little bit, you could take your piercing tool, kind of push them from the back side. I didn't go to all that trouble, and I also didn't clean out every little spot that cut out entirely. I did have to use the brush, what is it called? It's part of the You Pick It tool, and you use it to clean out the extra pieces on these dies with the foam pad. I don't have it here at my desk. So to get the look I wanted, you can see this die by itself, just one, wasn't really going to be enough. So we ran it through twice, and for that one you have to use the large Stampin' Cut emboss machine. So because this is 5.5 inches wide and it won't fit in the small, the mini, and you could position it however you wanted it. The very, very middle won't show because this tag will cover it up, but I did that already, and still have some extra pieces floating around here on the back. So let me get this out of the way so it's not. So this is a horizontal card. It's cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. The fold is going to go at the top. So the piece of Pool Party that is the liner for this is cut at 4 1/4 I believe, 1/8. It's cut just a little bit smaller than the, it's not cut at 4 inches because that would be too small, by 5, and I believe it was 1/8 also. Usually it's cut at 5 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and I'm going to apply my adhesive to the Fresh Freesia base. Don't you just love Fresh Freesia? I do. It's a cool, light, kind of lilac-y color. Excuse me. I'm going to put just a little bit here to hold that in place. And the reason I'm doing that, on this one, I've got adhesive sticking through, and it makes it spots darker, and I don't want to do that on this card. You learn the first time around how to do it better. You're supposed to better your best. So once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to do that differently. So you can just kind of see here in the middle parts. And just line this up with ever so little. I got a little close to the edge, so I'm probably not going to be able to have this behind every little bit. I should have maybe planned that a little better. So how pretty is that? It's kind of unexpected, and I'm sure your recipient is going to go, how did she do that? Or how did he do that? Aha, we have secrets, don't we? So in the kit, I had already die cut the tag. I'm just going to stick that inside. I used a die out of the designer tags. It's on page 170 of the annual catalog. This is a really nice die set. I have not used this one yet, but I think it will work the same way, that you'll be able to mount it on a coordinating color. You know, like you could cut it out of white and put it on red or something. But look at the neat, the different shapes. I did have some extra ones laying here. I haven't cut the butterfly out yet. I did cut out this one. You can see it's going to have some loose pieces. I have not gone to all the trouble to clean that one out. That is that one. And then there's one that cuts out the frame, and I think I've already used the middle. I just have this lovely stack of pieces over here because my intent is to use them on something. Yeah, I think I've already used the middle part. You know what? I think this one. Nope. Yep. That is the middle part. So how about that? You could cut 2 of them and like make a white frame and use the Orchid Oasis. So that's a nice die set. It doesn't coordinate with anything else as far as stamps or... So I'm going to stamp the happy birthday in Starry Sky. This is one of the new in colors. If you're watching, if you'll comment, I am monitoring on my laptop and I can see comments. I don't think anyone is watching, but to be sure, you can comment, and then that way I can pick that up off my screen. So the happy birthday, and the inside is stamped with the Fresh Freesia. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to stamp it while I'm stamping, just to get that out of the way. And then we'll talk about the flowers. You know, whenever you're inking up your stamps, you don't have to squish it hard. See how I was just tapping it very, very lightly. The neat thing about photopolymer, you can see through them. So I can see when that, when the letters are coming in contact with the ink pad. I don't have to squish it real hard. And then I'm not picking up extra ink around the edges, and I don't have a halo around what I just stamped. This is teeny tiny lettering, but it shows up once it dries. At first I was like, oh, that's not very bright. So I have already cut by hand. See on the inside how that flower is just peeking in from the corner? That's what I'm replicating on this one. And I've hand cut it out of the paper. It's okay that the flower is kind of like cut in half. For this purpose, it works great. I can put it wherever I want to along the edge to add some detail. I didn't put adhesive all the way out. I should have, but I'll go back and do that later. Now this piece, yes, I'm putting my adhesive on the back. I always like to go around the edges. I watch other demonstrators, and sometimes they just do 2 little streaks in the middle, and I'm like, that's gonna fall apart. And then mount it in here kind of with the even border. My finger stuck and it went off crooked. So this is mounted on dimensionals. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put that on. Let's put one here, one on that corner, one there, here, here, and here. Pull the release paper off so the sticky is revealed. I try to keep my fingernails at just the right angle, so they'll do that. And just eye that up. You notice when I stamped my happy birthday, I stamped it a little bit towards the bottom of the tag, not right in the middle of the tag, because my flower is going to take up some space. See, where did I put? There it is. I have not cut that one out. I thought I would cut it out on camera. Doesn't take very long to do this by hand. There are dies, and if they coordinate with these flowers, I never could get them to line up. So I decided, you know what? Scissors were invented before dies. We'll just cut them out by hand. I think the dies for sure, I know they coordinate with the stamps because there are flower stamps. But I kind of opted for the easy button this time and not try to stamp, because I think it's 2-step stamping and you have to get it all lined up, and then you have leaves to try to figure out what to do about. And this paper is so pretty. So look at that. It's all the longer it took. And then you can position that whatever looks pretty to you. I'm going to put my adhesive kind of along the bottom. And let me use my silicone mat because I'm going to go off the edge, and I don't want sticky on my grid paper because I do want it to stick. Since it went off the edge, I'll kind of groom it a little bit. And if you want to, you could put a dimensional underneath that. I'm not going to. Oops. So I've already tied my bow. This ribbon is so easy to work with. It is called a metallic woven ribbon, and the 5 new in colors each have a roll. I'm using the, what color am I using? Blunt. I think it's Orchid Oasis. It is. It's Orchid Oasis. It's the little bit of purpley one. Starry skies more towards a blue. So I've tied my bow. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to use a glue dot. And you can do this one of 2 ways. You can use your piercing tool to get that glue dot off, or you can stick the knot of your bow on it. And then I'll use my piercing tool. A little bit uncooperative. And kind of put it in the center. And it's got longer tails than I want, so I'll give them a little bit of a trim. you want them the same length, what I do is pull them up like that, and they're the same length. The neat thing about this ribbon, I can pull it apart and kind of fray it a little bit like this. Give it a little different look, not quite so clean. It's a little distressed, kind of like the rest of us. And then our embellishments are the Glossy Dots assortment. You can see there are 4 colors in there. We're going to use the probably Gorgeous Grape, but it looks really good with the, whoop, thought I had it, missed it. But since I die cut them a little bit differently, well, keep leaving them behind. Where should I put it? Put that one right there. Well, consistent, I did it with all 3 of them. Let's see, let's do this one. So that card didn't take long to put together. Didn't take real long to get ready. There was, you know, several steps to it because you had to die cut that front and die cut your tag and hand cut your flowers, but it goes together pretty fast. Like I said, I didn't do anything fancy for the envelope for this one. I do have an extra kit, so if you're interested, don't wait too long, let me know. Somebody just joined me. If you will comment, I will know who just hopped on, because all I see is that one person is watching. I'm going to go ahead and do a second card while we're on today. This one used the Hope and Prayer stamp set. This stamp set right here. I have a bundle class coming up on August the 11th, and I'm going to use that stamp set, and we're going to make 6 cards. My girls think they're making 5, but they're actually going to make 6. Hi, Margene. Thanks for hopping on. It's kind of lonely when I'm just talking to myself. So for that class, it's $35. You get half a package of designer series paper, a roll of ribbon, embellishments. At this point, I think the Iridescent Pearls is what I have on in case they don't go out of stock. They haven't. And your card kits. And then this is add-on for $19, and I'm paying shipping and tax. That's what this is listed for in the catalog. So that's a pretty big savings, because our minimum shipping, if you just got on and ordered this stamp set, it would be $7.95 shipping plus sales tax. So I'm saying about $10 savings to add this on. But this is a stamp set you're going to want in your stash, because it says, I thank God every time I think of you. You are in my prayers. Hope anchors the soul. Under his wings you will find refuge. It has a cross, the dove, and an anchor. So I'm thinking this is a stamp set that most of us are going to want to hang on to. So today's card is Hope Anchors the Soul. And I use the designer series paper that is actually a host. It's in the package of paper that you can choose as one of your host rewards when you have a party. Well, party isn't what we call them. A workshop at your home. And if your workshop goes over $150, you get host rewards. And this particular package, you get 48 sheets of paper. And it's $18 value, they call it. So your party would have to be over $180 to get that package of paper. I also use this Vellum, and let me look and see what the name of it is. Layering Designs Vellum. And it's in the annual catalog, and it's pretty easy to overlook it. Let me find it so I can show it to you on the catalog page. I had to keep looking for it myself. I knew it was in there because they have specialty papers kind of on their own pages, their own layout, and this layering designs is right here. It actually was in the holiday catalog that just retired, the mini catalog, and it carried forward. So there are sheets that look like maps, and we are using the sheet that looks like handwriting. I chose the paper that has birds. They're not exactly doves, but because it is covered with the vellum, it's pretty easy to get away with that. There's a little detail on this card that may or may not show up on camera. It'll show up when you open it up. There's some embossing. I think no one embossed yesterday, but I thought I would show that today. I'm going to use my paper cutter, and I'm going to take the cutting blade off, because if I don't, I might accidentally cut it instead of scoring it. I keep both of them on here. And there's a little notch that you run that up to right there. Can you see that? And these nubs fit in that, and that's how you get it in and out. Mine always, I use it so much that I have little fine paper shreds. So this is a little detail. Figure out which is going to be the front of my card. I think this will be the front of my card. So to get it to go up and down this way, because I want it to go across, let's see, my card is 5.5 inches. Now, I don't want it smack in the middle. I want it more, how about if I do it at 3 inches? And I'm only going to do it from the edge to the embossed line for the scored line for folding. I'm going to do it a couple or 3 times so that I get a good indentation. I went over it just a little bit, but that's not going to be a big deal. Then I'm going to move over to 3 1/4 and do it again. And then I'm going to move it to 3 1/2. I'm just going to put 3 lines in this one. And I'm coming down to 4 1/4. That's how I know. Because it's 8.5 inches wide. It's 5.5 by 8.5. All right, let me move this out of the way. So half of 8.5 is 4 1/4. And fold it. I didn't score it real good on my fold line. And use my bone folder to tighten that. So you only see it, the part that sticks out over here from underneath the paper. But it's a detail that is pretty, it's really nice in person. Let me set that in front of me. So see the birds on that paper? I use the deckled rectangle dies to die cut out this layer, my vellum layer. And the vellum you can adhere just by putting your adhesive in the center, because it's going to be covered up with the label that goes on the top, or the sentiment layer. I didn't do it around the edges for this one, just in the middle, and it's fine. So our middle layer is also die cut with the deckled. So let's do some stamping. Hope Anchors the Soul is stamped in Memento Black, kind of to the bottom of the label. Hopefully my head's not in your way. I'm going to pull it over towards me so I get it pretty much where I want it. Yeah, I did it. You did it, Nana. Alright, clean that off. Cover this for a minute. So my doves, one is stamped in mint macaron and one is stamped in memento black. And they're cut out by hand because there are no dies that go with this. So there was a small piece of cardstock in the kit. And I do have an extra one of these. So with your $25 order, you can get one. You'd have to either buy your stamp set or come use mine for right now, because Marjean's going to have her own stamp set come August the 11th. She is signed up to do my class and wanted the stamp set. Mint macaron. I'm not usually a fan of green, but I like that one. I'm going to clean my stamp off and stamp my black dove. And then I can do my cutting. Oops, it stuck to the piece of cardstock. That dove went flying. The only part, this center part is mounted on dimensionals, and I can go ahead and assemble that, and then I'll do my paper trimming, fussy cutting as we call it. I don't mind fussy cutting. I used to cut out the laminating for teachers, because a lot of times all you have to do is hold the scissors and just glide it along the paper. Now I know my dimensionals here, I'm going to have to start using the edges. I go through these so fast. Cut several. So, flat edge. Some in the middle, some in the middle. Take the backing off. Alrighty. Mount that kind of in the middle. There we go. And get my doves cut out. I didn't cut up around that leaf very much because it's so teeny tiny. I was afraid it would fall off. So I kind of left it attached to itself a little bit. Kind of cut between his tail feathers there so he has a little bit of definition. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Whatever looks good to you is great. Takes just a minute or two here. So I've got 3 more cards, but I'm going to spread them out over the month, kind of like what I did last month, and then send emails with directions of how to make them. Thought I would try to get some value out of the classes. It's not a secret. The only way you'll be able to make them exactly like we made them, if you want to use the same stamps, is purchase the sets or use what you have. And that's usually very easy to do, because if you have flower stamps, sentiment stamps, so for this class, you'll get PDF instructions, and we'll be on a private Facebook group for my to-go kits. They're going to want to know kind of how to assemble. They won't have the advantage of being in person to see how to do some of the cutting, because you get to do some of your cutting. I provide the card kits, but not necessarily all the stuff is done for you for this class. You do some of your own cutting of the papers. So I'm going to use glue dots and see how I want just the front of that bird on the label. So that's where my first glue dot's going to go, is on the front. But the opposite is true for this black one. I want the back of the bird. So I'm going to put one there. These are the stickiest glue dots, which is good. They don't want to come off their own paper even. Put 2 for this one. Look at that. Pretty cute. So these iridescent pearls, now we have basic pearls. Oh, let's see, I'm stuck together here. But these do have a shimmer and pick up some different colors. Like these bottom ones sometimes look blue, or here's one lonely little bitty guy. Get him. And I used one up here in the anchor. That looked pretty nice that way. And then I'll do it around the sentiment. So you'll get a package of these in with your, if you participate in that class. And I believe that's pretty level. Let's do the inside. What did I do special? You are in my prayers. But I'm thinking I'm going to do something with the dove on the inside of this one. And I had to trim this stamp. You can see where I did surgery on it, because it kept stamping crooked. I think when I mounted my the sticker on it, I must have misaligned it, or they didn't cut it good when they cut it and more was hanging down below. But I kept stamping it crooked, and I finally said, well, that's enough of that. And I just took my scissors and gave that stamp a little haircut. And so much better. Now it stamps where I want it, like I want it. It's not crooked. I don't like crooked. So I'm going to stamp. I think it only needs one dove on the inside and the envelope. I'm going to stamp a dove. Should have done it before I cleaned my stamp. Envelope. I didn't decorate an envelope for class, but so that is how you make that card. Hope anchors the soul. You are in my prayers. We use that saying a whole lot. That's why I feel like this is a card stamp set that you're going to want to add to your collection. So for today, that's all I have. I don't want to take a whole lot of time. I just wanted to kind of get started on showing you what we did. My next regular card class is August the 25th. It's a Thursday. I offer 2 settings. I can do a 1:30 or a 5:30. I like to fill up the 1:30 before I move to 5:30, but if you can't come at 1:30, then we'll work it out. We can do 5:30. I don't mind coming for just one person. That's fine with me. Everything is ready. My house is ready, and all you got to do is come make cards. So I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you have a really great day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.